Picture this. You've got a massive, multi-million-dollar skyscraper project. Everything's moving along, and then, suddenly, a dispute. Everything just grinds to a halt. You know, in the super high-stakes world of construction, these kinds of conflicts are, well, pretty much inevitable. So the real question is, how do you solve them?
Well, that's where the experts come in. You need these pros who can just dive into the really complex technical details and bring some clarity to the chaos. I mean, their judgment can literally make or break a case. We're talking millions of dollars and entire reputations on the line.
And here's the kicker, right? What happens when one expert says one thing and another expert comes in and says the exact opposite? Who are you supposed to believe? This kind of inconsistency can drag legal battles out for years, costing everybody an insane amount of time, money, and, let's be honest, sanity.
Okay, so let's really get into this challenge. Modern construction is just incredibly complex. It's this tangled web of contracts, blueprints, material science, local regulations, you name it. It's a lot to unpack.
You see, the real problem is that legal teams, they're brilliant at the law, right? But they're not necessarily experts in, say, structural engineering or cost analysis, so they have to rely on these outside experts. But with no real standardized benchmark for who qualifies as an expert, you get this crisis of confidence. The outcomes become totally unreliable, and justice can feel more like a roll of the dice.
So there's actually a formal name for this whole process. It's called court appraisal. It's supposed to be this definitive, objective way to settle all the technical arguments. The idea is the court brings in a neutral third party to just cut through all the noise and give a clear, fact-based assessment. But as we've seen, the system has had some serious flaws.
So in direct response to this problem, a new standard was created. A way to make sure that when a court asks for an expert, they get someone whose knowledge, whose ethics, and whose objectivity are completely beyond question.
The goal was actually pretty simple, but it was also super ambitious. Create one single, unified standard for what it means to be a top-tier construction expert. And this wasn't just about adding another certificate to hang on the wall. It was about building a whole new foundation of trust for the entire industry.
And let me tell you, this isn't just some informal handshake deal. The Construction Appraiser qualification is officially registered with the government. You can see the document right here. This gives it real authority and recognition, making it a serious, legitimate credential.
So who exactly gets to be this new standard of expert? This is where it gets really interesting, because the bar was set incredibly high, and that was on purpose. They wanted to make sure only the absolute best of the best could even apply.
Let's be perfectly clear. This is not for someone just starting out. Think of it as a postgraduate level qualification designed for people who have already reached the top of their game. That high barrier to entry is exactly what gives it so much value and credibility.
Okay, so check this out. There are basically two main paths to get your foot in the door. On one side, you have your licensed professionals. We're talking architects and professional engineers who already have that top-tier license, plus at least 3 years of experience after getting it. Then, on the other side, you have the seasoned industry veterans, people with a solid decade or more of documented hands-on experience out in the field. Either way, you've got to have some serious expertise.
But just being eligible? That's only the first step. Next up is a super rigorous process of education and exams, designed to test pretty much every single facet of an applicant's knowledge. The whole journey is laid out in 4 clear stages. First, you have to complete a mandatory advanced education course online. Then, you have to pass 2 incredibly challenging exams. Only after you've conquered both of those can you finally register and officially become a certified construction appraiser.
And when we say challenging, we mean it. I mean, look at this. The first exam is multiple choice, and it covers 4 totally different areas, from execution and architecture all the way to ethics and law. You can't just be good at one. You have to pass every single section. And then the second exam is a written essay-style test that's all about practical application. The passing scores are high for a reason. They make sure only those with true mastery get through.
Now, they do cut you a little bit of a break. If you manage to pass that really tough first exam, but then stumble on the second one, you get a pass on retaking the first exam for your next 2 tries. This lets you focus all your energy on nailing that practical, written part.
All right, so you've made it through the gauntlet. You have the certification. Now what? What exactly is the role and responsibility of a construction appraiser? Let's take a look at their official mandate.
Officially, their scope of work is defined by 11 distinct duties.
That number alone tells you just how broad and comprehensive this role really is. It covers pretty much every possible source of conflict you could find on a construction project.
And here are some of the big ones. They are tasked with appraising everything from construction costs and defects, which is a huge area for disputes, to safety, structural integrity, design issues, and even environmental impact. They are, for all intents and purposes, the ultimate technical judge.
But all that technical skill means nothing without trust. So this part is absolutely crucial. They have to follow a strict ethical code. An appraiser has to be fiercely independent and fair. They must maintain absolute confidentiality. And they are strictly forbidden from doing anything that could compromise their integrity, like lending their name to someone or accepting improper payments. This ethical foundation is completely non-negotiable.
So since this whole program started back in 2021, more than 150 experts have successfully made it through this incredibly rigorous process. And that's not just a number. It represents the creation of an elite, nationwide network of professionals who all operate under the exact same high standards of excellence and ethics. So as we look to the future, buildings are getting smarter, projects are getting bigger, and the legal challenges are only getting more complicated. The need for that one definitive expert voice is only going to grow. So the real question, for all you seasoned professionals watching right now, is this: are you ready to step up and be that voice of clarity, the one who provides the final answer in a world of conflict?